The Amazing Fairy Tale. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a kind-hearted girl named Ella. She was the only child of a wealthy merchant and his gentle wife. Their estate sat on the edge of a lush forest, where wildflowers bloomed in summer and deer wandered freely through the tall grass. Ella spent her early childhood in a home filled with warmth, love, and laughter. Her mother taught her kindness, patience, and the wisdom of listening more than speaking. But joy is a fragile thing. When Ella was 10, her mother fell ill. For weeks, she remained in bed, her once bright eyes dimming. On a pale spring morning, as the first blossoms opened on the apple trees, Ella's mother passed away. Grief hung over the house like a storm cloud. Before she died, she took Ella's hand and whispered, "Be brave and kind, my darling. No matter what the world brings." Years passed. Ella's father, wanting companionship and a mother for his daughter, remarried. The new woman was Lady Tremaine, a widow with 2 daughters of her own, Anastasia and Dreiizella. At first, Ella welcomed them with open arms, hoping for a new beginning. But the woman who smiled sweetly at her father soon revealed a much colder nature. Lady Tremaine was a woman of ambition. She believed the world owed her more and detested anything she deemed weak, including Ella's softness. Her daughters followed her example, laughing cruelly at Ella's simple clothes, her humble manner, and her quiet strength. When Ella's father died suddenly during a trading voyage, the last thread of protection was severed. Lady Tremaine took full control of the household. Ella was forced from her bedroom to the attic. Her fine dresses were taken, her books locked away. She was made to clean the hearth, scrub floors, and tend to her stepfamily's every whim. Soot and ash stained her skin and hair. Her stepsisters mockingly called her Cinderella, and the name stuck. Yet she never complained. She sang while sweeping. She whispered stories to the mice in the kitchen. She cried only when no one could hear, curling beside the embers for warmth at night. Despite everything, she remained kind. One day, an announcement echoed through the kingdom. The king, elderly and in poor health, was hosting a grand ball. His son, the prince, was to choose a bride, and all eligible young women were invited. Lady Tremaine was elated. She busied her household with preparations, hiring seamstresses and hairdressers. Anastasia and Dreiizella shrieked and argued over dresses, while Ella quietly mended their hems and fetched ribbons. "May I go to the ball?" Ella asked one morning, timidly holding her mother's old gown, which she had altered and cleaned. Lady Tremaine's eyes narrowed. "You? At the palace? Don't be ridiculous. Who would dance with a servant girl?" She smiled coldly. "But if you finish your chores and find something suitable to wear, I suppose you may attend." It was a lie, of course. The night of the ball arrived. Ella's stepsisters tore her gown to pieces, claiming she had stolen their ribbons and lace. Lady Tremaine watched with a smirk, offering no help. Heartbroken, Ella ran to the garden and collapsed beneath a willow tree, sobbing. "I tried so hard," she whispered, "but kindness isn't enough." The garden shimmered. A soft light emerged beside her. An old woman stood there, cloaked in silver, her eyes twinkling. "Why are you crying, child?" the woman asked. Ella blinked. Who are you?" "Your fairy godmother, of course. And we have a ball to attend." With a flick of her wand, the old woman transformed a pumpkin into a glittering carriage, mice into horses, and Ella's tattered gown into a masterpiece of silk and starlight. Glass slippers formed on her feet, delicate and shimmering. "Remember," the fairy warned, "this magic lasts only until midnight. At the stroke of 12, all will return to what it was." Ella nodded, breathless with gratitude. At the palace, the ball was in full swing. Guests danced under crystal chandeliers, but the prince seemed distant, politely smiling yet uninterested. Then, the doors opened, and Ella entered. Gasps filled the hall. She was radiant. The prince, stunned, crossed the floor and asked for her hand. They danced for hours, lost in each other's eyes, speaking of dreams and freedom, not titles or riches. But time slipped by. The clock began to chime midnight. I must go, Ella gasped, pulling away. Wait, your name, the prince called. But she was already fleeing. One glass slipper slipped from her foot as she ran. She leapt into her carriage, just as the spell unraveled, and she disappeared into the night, barefoot and breathless, her heart full. The next day, the kingdom buzzed with news. The prince was searching for the mysterious girl who wore the glass slipper. He sent out a royal decree: every maiden must try the slipper, and he would marry the one whose foot it fit. Lady Tremaine, recognizing the girl from the ball, locked Ella in the attic and ordered her daughters to prepare. The royal guards arrived. Anastasia and Dreiizella forced their feet into the slipper, but it was no use. As they prepared to leave, a soft voice called from above. Please, may I try it? The captain turned. Who is that? Lady Tremaine stammered, just a servant girl. She wasn't at the ball. But the captain insisted. Ella descended the stairs, her simple dress glowing with quiet dignity. She sat, and the slipper slid onto her foot like a second skin. Lady Tremaine paled. Dreiizella fainted. From her pocket, Ella drew the second slipper. The prince returned that afternoon. When he saw Ella, he smiled with wonder. It's you. They married in a ceremony attended by the entire kingdom. Ella wore a gown of white and gold, and the bells rang for hours. She forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, though she did not forget their cruelty. She offered them kindness, not power. As queen, Ella was beloved for her fairness and grace. She filled the palace with music and laughter. And every spring, she knelt beneath the willow tree and thanked the stars for magic, for resilience, and for love that finds its way even through ashes. The end. The Hidden Flame. In the sleepy town of Eldon's Hollow, nestled between whispering forests and misty hills, lived a 17-year-old girl named Leora Wynne. She was known for her warm smile and the way flowers seemed to bloom brighter around her. Though she never knew her real parents, Leora was raised by a kind woman named Marna, who owned a modest apothecary filled with herbs and old books. Leora often dreamed strange dreams, of glowing forests, voices in the wind, and stars that whispered her name. But dreams were all they were, until the night of the fire. It began with a scream, then the scent of smoke. Leora awoke to find the sky above Eldon's Hollow burning red. A nearby barn was ablaze, and in the distance, cloaked figures were sweeping through the village, leaving only scorched earth behind. Marna shoved a satchel into Leora's hands. Run, she gasped, eyes wild. Head to the river, find the old stone with the spiral rune, and speak your name. Marna, I don't understand. You were never meant to stay here this long. I thought we had more time. She clutched Leora's hand. Trust me. You are not who you think you are. Before Leora could ask more, Marna pushed her out the back door. She ran through the woods, heart pounding, the satchel thumping at her side. Behind her, fire licked the treetops. Finally, she reached the river and saw the stone, ancient, worn, and carved with a spiral. Taking a breath, she placed her hand on it. My name is Leora Wynne. The wind shifted. The stone pulsed with light. A glowing sigil lit beneath her feet, and in a blink she vanished. Leora landed hard on mossy earth. The air here felt alive, crackling with energy. Silver trees loomed around her. Above, a lavender sky shimmered with twin moons. She had crossed into another world. Before she could move, a figure approached, tall, cloaked, and carrying a staff of bonewood. Princess Leora, he said with a bow. We feared you would never return. I'm sorry, what? I am Eldrick, your mother's sworn mage. You are heir to the throne of Arendor. Leora blinked, shaking her head. You must have the wrong girl. He smiled sadly. You were sent to the human world when you were a baby. It was the only way to protect you. Protect me from what? Vaisha the Hollowed, a sorceress who consumed the souls of the old kings and cast our lands into shadow. She hunts the royal bloodline. Your mother, Queen Seraphine, died protecting you. Leora's legs gave out. She sat on the moss, tears threatening to fall. A princess? A lost world? She had only ever wanted to help in the apothecary and grow lavender in the spring. I don't know how to be what you need. You are the flame-bearer, Eldrick said softly. Only your blood can awaken the heart of Arendor and banish Vaisha. She knows you've returned. She will come. Over the weeks that followed, Leora trained with Eldrick and a band of hidden rebels in the forest city of Thaloran. She learned the language of spells, the dance of sword and shadow, and the way her emotions sparked magic into life. The land, once withering under Vaisha's curse, began to respond to her presence. Streams flowed clearer, trees bore fruit again, and songbirds returned. But it wasn't easy. She failed often. She cried. She doubted. You don't understand, she snapped at Eldrick one evening. I wasn't raised for this. I'm not brave. I'm not strong. I can barely summon a flame. You are not meant to be perfect, he replied. You are meant to be willing. Leora carried those words into the darkest night, when the rebellion's camp was attacked. Shadows with hollow eyes burst from the trees, killing without sound. Amid the chaos, Vaisha's voice rang out. You cannot run forever, child. Leora turned to see her, a woman cloaked in void, her eyes pale as bone, her smile cruel. You are the last light, Vaisha hissed, and I will snuff you out. Something inside Leora shattered. A scream tore from her throat, not of fear, but fury. Flames erupted from her hands, pure and white, blasting the shadows away. Vaisha staggered back, hissing, before vanishing in a swirl of smoke. Leora collapsed, trembling. From that moment on, she was no longer just the kind girl from Eldon's Hollow. She was the flame-bearer, and her people rallied behind her. They marched to the ancient citadel of Elthurin, where the heart of Arendor pulsed beneath the palace ruins. Leora's arrival sparked hope in the oppressed cities. One by one, allies joined her, the fierce winged clans of the Skirich Mountains, the stone-skinned guardians of the Golem Vale, and even a silver wolf named Mael, who never left her side. Vaisha, enraged, summoned horrors from the forgotten depths, beasts stitched from shadow and sorrow. The final battle neared. On the eve of war, Leora stood before her people. I am not a perfect warrior, she said. I still feel fear. But I will fight for you. For those we've lost. For the home we deserve. I carry the flame of our ancestors, and I will not let it die. They roared in answer. The battle at Elthurin raged for hours. Magic clashed, steel rang, and skies wept fire. In the heart of the ruined palace, Leora faced Vaisha once more. You are too late, the sorceress sneered. Your blood is weak. No, Leora said, stepping toward the heart, a crystal pulsing with ancestral magic. My blood is strong, not because I was born royal, but because I chose to protect. She touched the heart. It blazed with golden fire, consuming her in light. Vaishya screamed as the magic unraveled her, stripping her down to ash. When the light faded, silence fell. Then, cheers. Cries of joy. Arendor was free. Years passed. Queen Leora ruled not with a crown, but with kindness. She rebuilt her kingdom, welcomed exiles home, and taught magic to all who wished to learn. Every year, she returned to Eldon's Hollow to leave a single white rose on Marna's grave. She never forgot where she came from, or the love that raised her. And though the world once tried to break her, Leora proved that courage isn't loud or perfect. It's the quiet fire inside a kind heart. The end.